All right, so as we get going, today we're going to start the unit for project. Please stop talking still. Let's do hoods off in the back there. Thank you. So the this app we're going to spend a couple days on, just like in the past we've had multi-day projects. That's what this is. And there is, of course, a planning guide that goes along with it. I've broken it up into two parts. These are part of the submission. And just like in the past, they are just Google Docs that require you to make a copy and complete. And that's what you'll hand into that particular assignment. And I'll put this 1/2 just so it's clear. That's unsatisfying. Let's go. Let's get rid of it. Can we get it on one line? We cannot. Whatever. It's fine for now. It's very clear up at the title that this is part one of two, and the other one is part 2 of 2. This is broken up on purpose because part 2 of 2 is the testing, refactoring, and some short answer stuff, some wrap up stuff. Last time we did the app, I had this as one long planning guide, and it sort of unforeseen, maybe foreseeable, negative aspect of not encouraging you to do things in order. Okay, I need to be very clear. You need to complete the first planning guide 1 out of 2, before you start coding. I know there is a tendency to just jump right in and start building your app, and I appreciate the enthusiasm, but that's not what I want. I want you to actually do the work. Okay, so let's take a look at, well, we'll start with the planning guide 1 out of 2, 1 of 2, and we can discuss what's going on, and then code.org offers some examples which are going to be useful. Okay, project descriptions. For this project, you will create an app that helps a user make a decision. Your app must take in at least one number and one string from the user, help them make a decision. All this information will be used as part of a decision-making process. In addition, your code must include at least one function to update the screen. What you are going to actually submit, your final app submitted to, if you haven't yet, don't do your copy yet. Make a copy yet, just because there might be some edits, just to clarify, as I've already gone through this, but I just want to make sure, there's always, you reread it differently out loud, and just some clarifications. Okay, you're going to submit your app, or complete your app to code.org in the app lab place that it goes. You are going to make a video recording of it working. This is not as hard as it sounds. I will give you all of the tools and help and suggestions and everything that you could possibly need. And this is also something it's really not that hard to do a screen capture and have it record you actually just using the app for 20 seconds and showing that it actually works. Super simple, and I'll walk you through it. But this is part of the submission process for the performance task for the AP exam, where you have your digital portfolio. The app that you see, there's just typos I'm fixing. The app that you do for your project, this is what you actually are handing in, is not the actual app. You're handing in a video of the app working for 20 seconds. There are some regulations to that, like you aren't supposed to narrate the app working or have any sort of indication of your name or who you are in it, but that's we'll be more worried about that when we get to the exam prep stuff in that project. Okay, what does the app need? The app needs to have at least one number or one string used to make the decision with a conditional statement. You need a function which updates the screen and is called at least twice in the program. Conditional statement uses one logical operator and or not, as in not equals to, but you can also do not something else. And this is all stuff that we covered in the most recent app where you were, what were we doing? We were getting the user's input for font family and font size and that sort of thing. That's all this is, except you're going to have some sort of other output based on your flowchart logic. You need at least 3 different possible outputs. A very simple one would be similar to the Adopt a Cat app, where one answer is yes, you can adopt a cat based on the inputs. No, you cannot adopt a cat, or you should adopt a dog based on what the user puts in. Okay, you need to comment your code. Okay, comment is a little gray block with 2 slashes where above the functions you are writing what that function does. Okay, just the comment is just sort of the note, the annotation. And so there's that. Your app needs to have a good clean interface, and cleanly written code with no errors. Okay, steps in order: brainstorm an idea for decision-making app, draw a flow chart. Okay, you're going to draw the flow chart on a piece of paper and pencil and insert that picture into this document. Okay, step 3, design your app's interface, and that's something we've done since the beginning. You go into your app lab design, and before you start coding, you have to put the buttons and the labels and I mean, you might as well do some of the design. You can save the design stuff, like not just like buttons and sliders and stuff, but the colors and outlines and font size and stuff like that. You can always edit that at the end, but you need the actual elements in your app in order for it to work, in order for you to code it. So you're building the skeleton, the frame, before you actually put any scripting in it. Okay, so you are going to design the interface and then code your app. Okay, so this is planning guide 1. This is actually building an app lab. And this is planning guide 2. Okay, and based on that, you'll do updating. Okay, so design your program in App Lab. Once you have a rough draft, so to speak, you will collect feedback from your classmates and make changes as needed. Then you will do a recording of your app. And again, we'll go over that in class. We'll make a video of how to do it and all that. And then submit the final app in App Lab. Okay, brainstorm idea. First thing to do, come up with 3 separate ideas. Don't do it, hold off yet until we go over some examples from code. But you'll have a pretty good idea. And then choose one of the ideas based on something you are interested in and also offers the most opportunities to meet the requirements. Okay, what information needs to be stored? In other words, what needs to be used as a variable? Or we did this before where we didn't actually store the user input as a variable. We just went straight to the get text or get number. So what variable slash store will be used to store information? I don't know. Even if you're not using variables, you will need to stored/gathered. And this is why these are the types of changes that why you shouldn't have made your copy yet, or you can make another copy, change it. Information store, what variables used to store information, slash what, let's go, what information needs to be gathered. In other words, get text or get number. And next, your flowchart. Once you have your idea, you're going to work through what the actual flow is, the process, the decision-making process. And this is the example that Adopt a Cat one, where it was, I don't know, was it even this, I think it might've been this unit, the Adopt a Cat one, where it was like, if age equals 40 and money equals something, conditionals, Boolean, was it one of these? I'm not even sure if it was, it might've been from a previous. If I get this first try, I'd be impressed with myself. I do want to locate this for you so that you have some advantage or some background. Was it even this lesson? We're looking for the cat app. Variables, conditional, 5 if statements. Oh, it was a compound one, right? Because it had to be like and. 6, 7, Boolean, if logical. Might have been the logical one, because it was an age and, yeah, there we go. Lesson 7, bubble 9 is the example that we did of the conditionals, but we've done a lot of conditionals since then, so that shouldn't be an issue. Do stop talking in the back, please. Like completely stop talking. Thank you. Okay, here are some flowchart example components that you can include in your sketch that you put into there. And then you're going to actually design your interface, like what buttons are going to go where, what labels are going to go where. You can actually put the title there, text areas. We've seen a lot of apps. You don't need more than, you know what? Again, if you made a copy, stop, because as I'm seeing this, this should be a sketch also. Give me a second here. Let's, I thought this would work better, but I'm seeing it not working the way that it's supposed to. So let's make this one box that this will be another sketch on paper and submit. Sketch your screen on paper and insert a pic to this box, to the box below. Okay, so that'll work out better for this, since it'd be really difficult to fit everything in that. And this guide was meant to be designed to be printed out anyway. So having to do that on the computer is not better. Okay, so just like we've done in the past, where you have your screen or screens, I think we had a printout on the last one where it was your had like 4 boxes because it was a multi-screen app. This one doesn't have to have multiple screens. It can. And a lot of you will like the freedom of having more space of different, like a result screen and a back button and a clear and that sort of thing. It's, you know, high quality interface. Okay, and then when you're done that, you are actually going to build your app. Okay, so let's look at some examples. This is lesson 12, and the app is lessons 12 through 14, I think. And oh wait, did I even unlock this for you yet? I may have not even unlocked it. That's not where it goes. It goes here. And let's just go and open these if I haven't already. Visible, visible, visible. Yeah, so it's lessons 12 through 14. Let me just go ahead and open these all up for everybody before I forget. Surprised nobody said anything, but that's okay. You're just listening so hard that you haven't gone to the lesson yet. Okie dokie. All right, so in lesson 12, that has 2 sample apps. And if we look at these, okay, this one is has a text input for your name. It has a choice for a type of restaurant and an up down that gives out a different output based on their up down. And you can probably figure out how this up down works. Okay, button up. This is like the counter app. Okay, so this is clearly combining lots of different skills that you've learned before. That counter app where it's like the button up. Okay, up means counter gets counter +2 or counter +5, or you know, you're storing a variable that's changing by a certain amount each time. And also, every time you click, it's doing a few other things. It's checking to see what price range, because if you see when the name of the restaurant changes, it changes at 35, it goes down. And okay, so there's only, it doesn't go below 0, that's a good thing. But in Italian, there are 2 Italians that differ at 35. In Chinese, the difference happens at 25, and so on. So it's just checking the input price against the drop-down options. And when we're talking about collecting a string, if you recall from the last one, drop-down still requires a get text, just like a text input does, and that would count also. Let's remove some things. That. Turn off that. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so that's offering 2 options for every different cuisine type. So that has 6 outputs. And you can tell the output is just a concatenation from this text that includes the variable of the price and the restaurant. So this is actually a really good app that most of you could probably handle something that good right now. And let's look at the other one. I haven't checked this one yet. Let's see what happens. Okay, activity finder. Okay, having your name is fine. Clearly, that is just being put into the string here, this concatenation, which is a fine output for your apps to have some sort of output sentence that includes the inputs in it. And you can tell this particular one updates every time you type anything which is just like what we did with the quote finder app, or the text one, where every time you typed, the text changed, which is good. Okay, so this one has 3 different activity levels and different times to start. I don't think there's a different swimming, biking. So it looks like there are 2 outputs for moderate. We go to light. Light in the morning is walking, fly a kite. Okay, so I'm guessing it's 2 options for each. There's only one for strenuous. Climbing gym. Yeah, okay, well, there you go. Good catch. So that's the basic idea. Inputs, combining and checking for an output. And once you complete your planning guide and submit it, do not start coding or planning until you submit your planning guide 1 out of 2. You are going to go through, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is 100% carryover. Let's see if it restricts anything. Now, it's all carryover. Each of these bubbles are designed to get you to do 1 step of it, which is the right order of doing things: creating the screen or screens, the layout, then creating the variables. You have to create variables first. They go at the top of the screen. If you're using variables, we got through this with just get texts. Although, no, if you're going to have a long concatenation as your output, like the examples had, which were, you want to exercise at 8 o'clock with a strenuous whatever, and that concatenation would be a variable, or much more easy to understand as a variable. So that's a good thing. Then it has creating the functions next, which is fine. The functions are the tools in your toolbox. And then the event handlers, it has doing them last, at least as these bubbles go in the lesson. I don't know, you can kind of do those all at the same time, and all of these bubbles are the same project, so you don't even really have to do them in that bubble. But regardless, that is the where you're going to actually do them. But you may not get to that today, and that's fine. But you should be finishing your planning guide shortly. And then lesson 14 is also carried over. So it doesn't really matter. You could do the entire project in lesson 13 and then go to lesson 14 bubble 2 to submit it when you're ready to submit. It's the same thing. But there is a rubric, which is essentially just all of the stuff that we just talked about. And the full rubric is on both planning guides, just so it's easy to get to. And the rubric for the entire project is on both planning guides, parts 1 and 2, video, both of the written responses, which we'll go over that's on part 2. We'll go over that in the future. A good user interface, no errors, variables, functions, conditionals. Okay, you do need at least 1 conditional. If you're gathering 2 pieces of information, like time and activity level, you're going to need to compare them somehow, either and or not, and then comment in your code. But most of these are not issues until you get to coding. Okay, so go ahead and make your copy of the planning guide 1 of 2 and get started. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know.